MSW Media.
News with swearing. Daily beans, daily beans. Daily beans, daily beans.
Hello and welcome to the Daily Beans for Friday, October 24th, 2025. Today, the Associated Press reports the entire East Wing of the White House has been completely demolished. Kilmar Abrego has subpoenaed Deputy Attorney General Todd, Blanche, and other senior DOJ officials to testify at the hearing on his motion to dismiss the indictment for vindictive and selective prosecution. Beleaguered fraud and bribery, Mayor Eric Adams has endorsed sex pest Andrew Cuomo for mayor of New York. A D.C. man who played Darth Vader's Imperial March at National Guardsman has been arrested, and the ACLU is suing on his behalf. And Representatives Raskin and Garcia are investigating Trump's attempt to steal $230 million from the taxpayers. I'm your host, Allison Gill. Hey, everybody. Happy Friday. I'm on vacation. I'm having a wonderful time decompressing. Thanks to Dana for covering my travel day yesterday. Today, I'm covering her travel day for her, but I believe we'll both be back together in your ears on Monday. Andy McCabe and I will see you on Sunday for the Unjustified podcast as we gloat over the fact that person 3 in the Comey indictment is not Andy McCabe, as now confirmed by the government itself that it's Daniel Richman, which honestly destroys the entire indictment. We're going to talk about that. I also went live earlier today with Adam Klasfeld on Substack to discuss Mr. Abrego's subpoena of Todd, Blanche, and others high up at HSI and the Department of Justice. And I'll replay that interview here today on the Beans for you. And for the prize of $0, you can sign up for notifications on Substack when I go live or when I break news, like the time I got the Bureau of Prisons to send screenshots of Ghislaine Maxwell's sex offender status waiver on her point screen. Just visit MuellerSheWrote.com and subscribe for free. And if you don't like getting the notifications, you can turn them off. And because it's Friday, it's Fugelsang Friday, so I'll be chatting with John Fugelsang for a few here on the Daily Beans later in the show. And starting December 1st, the public will start getting a new video podcast with Dana and me over at the Daily Beans YouTube channel. Patrons, you'll start getting them a month early, November 2nd, because for the whole month of November, we want your feedback on what goes out to the public starting December 1st. And as patrons, after December 1st, you will continue to get that new video pod ad-free and early the night before it goes public. All right, we have a ton of news today. Some of it's really depressing, but some of it's really inspiring. So buckle in for the hot notes. Hot notes. All right, first up from the Associated Press. This is the depressing part of the show. The entire White House East Wing has been demolished as Trump moves forward with construction of a ballroom. That's according to the Associated Press and photos. The East Wing, where First Ladies created history, planned state dinners, and promoted causes, is now history itself. The two-story structure of drawing rooms and offices, including workspace for First Ladies and their staffs, has been turned into rubble. Demolished as part of the Republican president's plan to build what he says is now a $300 million ballroom, nearly twice the size of the entire White House itself. Trump allowed the demolition to begin this week despite not yet having approval from the relevant government agencies with jurisdiction over construction of federal property. Preservationists have also urged the Trump administration to halt the demolition plans for the 90,000 square foot ballroom that can go through the required public review process, which it hasn't. And during a press conference Thursday, Caroline Leavitt said the president's number one priority right now is his ballroom. Not that SNAP benefits are going to expire and children are going to starve. Not that our healthcare subsidies are going to double, triple, sometimes quadruple our premiums. Not that the government is shut down. No, his priority is his ballroom. So that was the really depressing news. Next up, in the absurd. This is from the Times. Mayor Eric Adams is going to endorse Cuomo in the New York City mayor's race on Thursday, casting aside months of bitterness to try to stop the momentum of one Zohran Mamdani, the Democratic nominee. Mr. Adams, a Democrat, ended his re-election campaign last month after it became clear he didn't have a path to victory. He lashed out at Cuomo for pressuring him to leave the race, calling him a snake and a liar, but now he's endorsing him. Cuomo and Adams clearly appeared to have mended fences by Wednesday night when they sat together courtside at a Knicks season opener. Mr. Cuomo, a Democrat running as a third-party candidate, rushed to Madison Square Garden from Queens immediately after the final debate of the race ended. Mr. Adams said in an interview on Thursday that he would campaign with Cuomo in neighborhoods where the mayor is most popular in hopes of convincing people to vote for him instead of Mamdani. So the guy indicted for bribery and fraud, and that was going to be indicted for witness tampering, who made a deal with Trump to help Trump with his mass deportation efforts, has endorsed the guy who Trump donors support that has 13 credible complaints for sexual harassment against him. Makes perfect sense. If you're in New York, please vote for Mamdani. And we're still in the absurd portion of the show. From The Guardian, a Washington, D.C. resident who was detained last month for following a National Guard patrol while playing Darth Vader's theme from Star Wars has filed a lawsuit alleging his constitutional rights were violated. Sam O'Hara, represented by the ACLU, filed the complaint against 4 local police officers, a member of the Ohio National Guard in the District of Columbia. O'Hara was protesting against the Trump administration's deployment of National Guard troops by walking behind them and playing the Imperial March. Dum, bum, 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 ba, bum, bum, ba, bum. O'Hara shared his efforts on TikTok. Before he was detained, one of the National Guard members, Devin Beck, said, "Hey man, if you're going to keep following us, we can contact Metro PD and they can come handle you if that's what you want. Is that what you want to do?" Beck then called the police, who handcuffed O'Hara, preventing him from continuing his peaceful protest. Quote, "The law might have tolerated government conduct of this sort a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away," the suit states, quoting Star Wars. "But in the here and now, the First Amendment bars government officials from shutting down peaceful protests, and their Fourth Amendment, along with the district's prohibition on false arrest, bars groundless seizures." O'Hara's actions chime with other recent humorous protests against Trump's deployment of the military over alleged immigration offenses. Many of the protesters of the recent No Kings marches were wearing inflatable costumes of frogs and unicorns and other whimsical creatures. Earlier this month in Portland, the comedian Rob Potillo, we talked about on my Midas podcast called The Breakdown, he stood outside an ICE office in a giraffe outfit playing a Rod Stewart song, singing, "If you hate brown people and you are a Nazi, come on ICE, leave Portland." He too was detained by ICE and has said he plans to sue the agency and the Department of Homeland Security. O'Hara, who filed the suit in U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia, has requested the court rule that the actions taken by the military and law enforcement officers violated his First and Fourth Amendment rights, and that the actions constituted false arrest, false imprisonment, and battery under D.C. law. He also requested the defendants provide compensatory damages. We'll follow that for you. All right, we're done with the depressing and the absurd. It's time for some better news. This is from CBS. 2 top House Democrats have asked the Trump administration to turn over copies of Trump's controversial claims, totaling about $230 million for damages over his past criminal investigations before the 2024 election. In the request, which was obtained by CBS News on Thursday, top Democrats of the House Judiciary and Oversight Committees, that's Jamie Raskin and Robert Garcia, are seeking records on the administrative claims filed with the Justice Department by Trump over these 2 cases. The first claim relates to the government's investigation into Trump regarding alleged interference by Russia in 2016. The second concerns the FBI search at Mar-a-Lago that centered around Trump's handling of classified documents after he left the White House. It was actually retention, not mishandling, but I'm nitpicking. The request by the House Democrats seeks information about the claims, quote, including all documentation, exhibits, affidavits, and evidence submitted with such claims. Raskin and Garcia set a deadline of October 30th for the Trump administration to hand over the records, but House Democrats, who are in the minority, don't have subpoena power. Not that this DOJ would honor any subpoenas anyhow. This is really all they can do, is write strongly worded letters. The Democrats are also seeking correspondence that includes Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche and Associate Attorney General Stanley Woodward. Blanche was one of Mr. Trump's criminal defense attorneys, and Woodward was the Trump co-defendant Walt Nauda's defense attorney in the classified documents case. Both of them, unless they recuse themselves, could be directly involved in determining whether to grant Trump's $230 million claim. If any compensation is approved, it would be paid for by the American taxpayers. And from the Times, the next front in the nation's pitched battle over a mid-decade congressional redistricting is opening in Virginia, where Democrats are planning the first steps toward redrawing congressional maps, a move that could give their party 2 or 3 more seats. This is a surprise development, which is set to be announced by legislators on Thursday. It would make Virginia the second state after California in which Democrats try to counter a wave of Republican moves demanded by President Trump to redistrict states to their advantage before the midterms because they know they're going to lose. No other Democratic state has begun redistricting proceedings, while several Republican states have drawn new maps or are deliberating to do so. Democrats now hold 6 of Virginia's 11 congressional seats. Redistricting could deliver 2 or 3 more, depending on how aggressive cartographers choose to be in the redrawing effort. Quote, we're coming back to address actions by the Trump administration. That's Scott Surovell, the majority leader of Virginia Senate, who confirmed the plans. The Virginia Democrats' moves are the latest in a months-long tango that has resulted in Texas and Missouri enacting new maps that add more Republican seats. Indiana ended up failing. California asked voters to approve a new map to add Democratic seats. North Carolina Republican lawmakers Tuesday approved a new map to transfer 1 congressional seat to Republicans from Democrats. And Trump has pressured Republican legislators in Indiana to enact new maps, like I said, and Democrats expect Florida Republicans will attempt to redraw their state's maps early next year. Republicans in Kansas and Nebraska have also explored redistricting. That's a nice way of putting it. Ahead of the midterms, though neither have taken formal steps to do so. With congressional Republicans and a friendly Supreme Court acceding to nearly all of Trump's demands, Democrats have viewed the midterm elections as their lone opportunity to reclaim some power in the federal government. Republicans now hold a 5-seat majority in the House, which is seen as far more likely to change hands than the Senate. The Republicans have a 53-47 advantage in the Senate, as we know, and they have a favorable 2026 map. Virginia is one of few options Democrats have to boost their chances to engineer more House seats. Democrats control all facets of government in far fewer states than Republicans. And many of those Democratic states, like Colorado, New York, Oregon, and Washington, they have implemented redistricting reforms that prevent political gerrymandering. So we can't redraw those maps. In Illinois and Maryland, they can. It's easier, but the governors have been noncommittal. Governor Wes Moore of Maryland says all options are on the table. Pritzker of Illinois Tuesday said he's philosophically opposed to mid-decade redistricting, but said, I'm not going to sit back and let Republican states create what he described as an unfair advantage. So I think we should be calling them. John Bisogno, the president of the National Democratic Redistricting Committee, predicted that redistricting activity would continue across the country. He said, the farther Donald Trump drags our country into a gerrymandering crisis, the more states will look for responsive options to protect the voting power of the American people. That's what he said. So that's what's going on today, everyone. And we'll be right back in a moment with, let's talk to Adam Klasfeld first, then we'll talk to John Fugelsang, then we'll get to your good news. Stick around. We'll be right back.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
I may not be pouring glasses of wine for myself that much anymore, but I still love being the person who brings the good wine to the party. Naked Wines makes it easy. It's great for gift giving too. Their bottles are affordable, beautifully curated, perfect for hosting. My guests always ask where I find them, and honestly, I love bragging a little. Naked Wines is a service that directly connects you to the world's finest independent winemakers, so you can get award-winning wine delivered straight to your door. So let's thank Naked Wines for supporting our show. Go to nakedwines.com/dailybeans. Use our code DAILYBEANS for the code and the password, and you'll get the incredible deal of 6 bottles for just $39.99. I recently served the Ode by Daniel Barron, Napa Cabernet Sauv, and I absolutely love it. It's a 2021. It was pretty unforgettable. Bold blackberry, ripe plum, black cherry flavors, balanced with vanilla and spice from oak aging. It was awesome. Perfect for sharing. And after each shipment, you can rate your wines. So Naked Wines keeps getting better, curating the stuff to what your tastes are. Every new box feels personalized, like it's tuned perfectly to your guests' favorite flavors. So now's the time to join the Naked Wines community. Just head to nakedwines.com/dailybeans. Click enter voucher, put in my code DAILYBEANS for both the code and the password, and you'll get 6 bottles of wine for just $39.99 with shipping included. That's $100 off your first 6 bottles. That's nakedwines.com/dailybeans, and use code and password DAILYBEANS for 6 bottles of wine for $39.99. You'll be glad you did.
Hey, welcome everybody. I'm talking to Adam Klasfeld from All Rise News. I'm Allison Gill. You know me as Mueller, She Wrote, and I host 9,000 shows. I'm not going to talk about them right now. But we wanted to jump on a Substack Live because we got a little interesting piece of news that I don't think we knew about previously, that in discovery for the vindictive and selective prosecution motion filed by Kilmar Abrego in his case, this is the criminal case now where he was charged with 2 counts of smuggling non-citizens from a traffic stop in 2022 where they let him go then. But, honestly, I think when we learned this week that those MS-13 members that Bukele wanted back were actually government cooperators, I think that these two charges came about by the Donald Trump administration and perhaps the State Department not wanting to release that agreement in discovery in front of Judge Sinis in the Abrego case. So to shut that discovery down and not reveal the weird deal they made with President Bukele in order to get space in Seacoast for our deportees, they charged Kilmar Abrego with these two ridiculous charges. And so he has filed vindictive and selective prosecution, much like LaMonica McIver in New Jersey, much like Jim Comey in is it Virginia, Maryland, somewhere, Virginia, against Lindsay Halligan. And so, but as part of the discovery in vindictive and selective prosecution, he issued some pretty high-level subpoenas. And I wanted to ask you, Adam, and I wanted to talk to you today, again, thanks for joining me, about why such high-level depositions are being sought, and what kind of information is he looking for to bolster his vindictive and selective prosecution motion?
Well, we know that the most prominent official he subpoenaed is Todd Blanche, and we know it not through one of Abrego's own filings, but from the government's filings in a footnote where they mention, I'm going to read the footnote, I printed it out, that apparently on October 20th, the defense counsel for Abrego subpoenaed the deputy attorney general, the associate deputy attorney general, the counsel to the deputy attorney general, and two HSI agents to testify, actually not at a deposition, at the hearing itself. There's going to be an evidentiary hearing on November 4th and November 5th. So we could see live testimony in a federal court in Nashville if Abrego succeeds there. We know so it was first disclosed in the footnote of the government's motion here, and they said they're going to try to quash it. Now, it's usually very hard to get a high-ranking DOJ official to be on the witness stand. So I'm going to read the precedent that they cite. They haven't filed the motion to quash, but here's what they say, citing D.C. Circuit precedent, not the relevant circuit for Nashville. Top executive department officials should not, absent extraordinary circumstances, be called to testify regarding their reasons for taking official actions. Here, at the heart of the vindictive prosecution motion, the reason why Judge Crenshaw had called for this extraordinary hearing is because Todd Blanche himself went on Fox to say, we opened this investigation into Abrego because a federal judge in Maryland questioned us, and heaven forbid, a judge questioned us about our reasons for deporting. Deporting is a lofty word to describe hustling someone onto a plane against the express terms of a court order, but whisking Abrego and other people out of the country into a foreign, abusive, torturous prison of Bukele. So right now, that a judge could easily find that that's extraordinary. You have the fact that in the very order calling for this hearing, he used words like tellingly, strikingly, Todd Blanche did this. We'll see whether this motion to quash succeeds. But if it fails, we could have Todd Blanche on the hot seat answering to these decisions that he made in a live hearing, live testimony, November 4th and November 5th in a federal court in Nashville.
Mm-hmm. And that's in front of Judge Crenshaw, who is the federal judge handling this case. And I think it's interesting, when you start to try to throw up defenses as a member of this government, saying that's just far too high up, it's not necessary, you can have somebody lower down the food chain, when they themselves are sending the full U.S. attorney to a detention hearing, for example, when they themselves have like a handful of super top DOJ officials that are the ones that are showing up in court to defend the actions. It seems a little counterintuitive for this government to say you don't need the important people when it's the important people that are wrongly making all these decisions and in charge of all these moving parts. Like when Judge Sinis was like, wait, are you telling me that it's a regular line officer that's deciding whether Mr. Abrego is going to be sent to a third country and not somebody higher up at the department? And they're like, oh yeah, just a regular old, no, nothing different about Mr. Abrego's case, just plain old career line people down at the localized field office. And here we have things like Todd Blanche making statements on to the public, which I think kind of opens the door to calling them in to testify. So it's going to be very interesting to see how would it be Judge Crenshaw that makes this decision on whether to quash Mr.
I believe so. Absolutely. I mean, they're going to make the motion to him. It's for this evidentiary hearing. He's the one who said that tellingly and strikingly, Blanche went on national television and said this, which would appear to be the very heart of vindictive prosecution, that vindictive prosecution means you're opening up a case because of one's exercise of one's rights, like challenging their detention in a Salvadoran prison. You mentioned Judge Sinis, and the last time there was a recent hearing, I attended it in Greenbelt, Maryland, and it's very interesting because now some days have passed since that hearing, and during that hearing, Abrego's attorneys said, look, we told the government we would agree to have Kilmar Abrego Garcia be deported to Costa Rica. That Costa Rica has promised it wouldn't refoul him. It wouldn't try to send him back to El Salvador where he fears persecution. But the government is insisting on sending him to any number of human rights abusing nations, sending him to Eswatini, the last absolute monarchy in Africa, sending him to Uganda, sending him to a number of countries that said, wait a minute, the U.S. government never told us we'd take Kilmar Abrego Garcia. We're not taking him. And since that hearing, the government has not made that commitment. Judge Sinis said during that hearing, if you don't reach that agreement vis-a-vis Costa Rica, that's going to speak loudly to me. And it sounded like she was leaning toward releasing Kilmar Abrego Garcia from immigration detention under Supreme Court's precedent, saying if you have no imminent plans and taking concrete good faith actions to try to deport someone that you have the power to deport, you can't hold them in immigration detention indefinitely. So it's quite possible that by the time the next hearing rolls around, we could see Kilmar Abrego Garcia released both from pretrial custody and from immigration detention.
Yeah, because he's willing to take Costa Rica right now. And you offered it to him at one point, and you're not allowing that to happen. Seems like you made a bad faith effort, and that can't be a reason to detain somebody. I'm interested in what's taking Judge Sinis so long to rule on that. It was a couple weeks ago, wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, she could be writing an opinion that is dotting every I, crossing every T for appellate review that's going to be inevitable. But she told them, by the time I've written this opinion, if you haven't done that, that's going to be a factor in my determination that you're not making good faith effort here. You're just trying to keep him locked up to punish him. So that, and every day that goes by, it vindicates her point of view there. I will say also, to your point, the reason that they once offered it to him, they said, if you plead guilty now, if you accept these two charges, you can serve what will almost certainly be a very light sentence, because the smuggling charges, unlike, say, trafficking charges against Ghislaine Maxwell, are usually light sentences in the Middle District of Tennessee, excuse me. But they said, if you do not plead guilty, then we'll send you to Uganda. Doing that kind of ultimatum, that kind of coercion, that's something that who knows whether they would even be able to carry out a guilty plea and have a judge stamp on it and say, oh, well, Kilmar Abrego Garcia is doing this of his own accord. Now they're stuck with it. Now they have to, now they're saying yes, we offered you this, but that was just for the purpose of coercion. They can't say that. They can't say we were just trying to extort a guilty plea. That's not something the government can say. So instead, that offer to send him to Costa Rica has entirely vanished.
Wow. Well, I'm looking forward to that. Are you going to be traveling to the November 4th hearing?
That is my plan. As some folks who are watching this know, I recently injured myself, so I have I'm convalescing right now. But I think that I am in my rehabilitation process, healing such that I hope to make it down to Tennessee on November 4th and 5th.
Well, I hope everybody subscribes to All Rise News for that kind of coverage. You can, if you subscribe, you get notifications in your email. It tells you exactly where Adam is and what he's reporting on. And you can also follow him on social media so that you can see his live posting about these hearings, when and where he is. And if you're able, if you have the means to financially support All Rise News, that helps pay for his travel and his lodging. He does this all by himself. He doesn't have a corporate overlord billionaire helping him and giving him money to do all this really incredible reporting for everyone. So, if you have the means, that would be great. One last thing before I let you go today. You posted something on Blue Sky about, who was it? It was some Tom Homan maybe talking about figurative bounties against ICE agents. And you and I texted, offline about this. Like, what the hell is this guy talking about? Share what you posted and what your thoughts are.
Well, the question at the forefront of my mind, and the one that I asked publicly to the U.S. Department of Justice, was, what on Orwell's green earth is a figurative bounty? That a figurative bounty, forget about it as a matter of law, as a matter of the English language, they say anyone who puts a bounty, either figurative or real, on a federal enforcement officer, whether they are a gang or a California state or local representative, will face the wrath of the Department of Justice. And that, I'm paraphrasing very, very slightly. And you see a lot of this overheated language from official government accounts. You see government representatives referring to the quote-unquote doxing of ICE agents by reporters who are saying there's ICE activity during a raid that they're covering for major newspapers. That doxing, that is a word that conveys serious things. Like, for example, the threats against federal judges when people send pizza deliveries to judges' houses to communicate a threat known as pizza doxing. That's what they're trying to conflate the normal accountability mechanisms of the federal government. And it seems like the Department of Justice, on an official account, was communicating some sort of threat to California lawmakers who they accused of figuratively putting a bounty on federal law enforcement officials' heads. So it would be good for the public to be able to have some ideas about what they're talking about that's not masked through this political language. We talk about Orwell, that political language, how he is, 1984 communicated all the ways in which the political language can obscure how political language makes, in Orwell's terms, murder respectable. And so in that particular case, I guess the reason that I pointed that out, the reason that I posted that is that there's to make people pay attention to the abuse of language, that clear communication. What does it mean to dox? When a federal law enforcement official says the public is doxing federal agents by saying there is a raid happening right now in, for example, Chinatown, New York. We don't have a secret police. We do have a free press. The Constitution enshrines one of these two things. And I think it's important to push back when government accounts use, even if it seems a small turn of phrase, even if especially when it seems unaccountable, when it seems trivial, force people to say what they mean and mean what they say.
Yeah, and especially when it can be used as some sort of a justification to send out National Guards, to say, well, the figurative bounties that Governor Newsom and Mayor Bass are putting on ICE agents' heads, or the developer of the ICE Block app, for letting users point out where ICE officials are. That's figurative bounties is a danger to ICE and DHS and federal agents. And because we're in danger, we have to have the National Guard come out and the Marines come out and protect us.
Right.
So I know that you'll be looking for that language in court filings. On defense of deployment of the National Guard to Chicago or Portland or I think San Francisco, but then he withdrew that idea. So when you see, let us know when you see the figurative bounties language in a filing justifying the deployment of troops to protect ICE agents. I expect it to be out there at some point because, again, they're just trying to justify their need for this additional level of protection, which most judges have said is completely unnecessary, including the Seventh Circuit and most people on the Ninth Circuit. But we could talk about that another day. Adam, it's been great to talk to you. Everybody, make sure you subscribe to All Rise News. Look out for those hearings on November 4th and 5th. You follow Adam. He's going to let you know exactly when and if these subpoenas for folks like Todd Blanche to testify live in front of Judge Crenshaw are actually successfully quashed by the government, or whether lawyers, really good lawyers working for Mr. Abrego, are going to have a chance to question them in court. Thank you so much for your time today, Adam. It's been great to see you.
Great to see you too. Thank you again, Allison.
We'll see you all very soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Everybody, welcome back. It's Friday on the Daily Beans, which means it's Fugelsang Friday. So I'm joined by my good friend, the amazing, wonderfully coiffed, brilliant New York Times bestselling author of Separation in Church and Hate, host of Tell Me Everything, weeknights, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 Pacific on Sirius XM Progress, channel 127, host of the John Fugelsang Show podcast, host of the John Fugelsang Substack, pretty much host of everything, everywhere, and New York Times bestselling author. Please welcome John Fugelsang. Hello, my friend.
Thank you very much, Dr. Gill. Yes, we're back on the time. We took 1 week off the Times list, and now we're back on the Times list. So thank you. I'll be flogging that credit till the end of time. Thank you.
Congratulations. So today's show was a roller coaster. We had some very depressing news, some absurd news, and we had some very inspiring news. Virginia's going to redraw their maps in favor of Democrats. The absurd news, a man was arrested for playing the Imperial March behind National Guardsman. ACLU is suing on his behalf. And the depressing news, the entire East Wing, where I think you and I have spent some time, is now completely gone, just demolished, gone to history.
Yes. As thousands, potentially millions of Americans are losing their jobs, their health care, their savings, we have construction crews literally bulldozing the East Wing so Donald Trump can host galas for the billionaires who caused all of this. I mean, this is the ballroom of the damned. I know people like to call it Epstein ballroom. Ballroom of the damned has the right kind of horror, end of the world vibe for me. This is like the Great Gatsby, Allison, but instead of Gatsby spending his money to impress one woman, it's Gatsby desperately spending other people's money to impress anyone because he's so pathetic. And I mean, they're doing this. Again, the Treasury Department's telling employees not to take any photos of this destruction during a government shutdown while they're trying to throw 20 million souls off Medicaid, giving $40 billion to bail out Argentina. In other words, to bail out Scott Bessent's douchebag billionaire friend. And they're murdering people in boats in foreign waters. And amidst all of this, during a government shutdown, they're tearing down the White House. I mean, I feel like I'm going to be able to file a class action suit because of injuries I've received from this overdose of metaphor. It's just,
right.
I mean, nothing says I love America like bulldozing the White House to make it a tacky wedding venue. I mean, this guy said this year that the construction would not interfere with the existing building. It'll be near it, not touching it, which I think is also what he said about the Constitution. And now the White House is going to look like this little trailer with a bloated double wide. It's so hideous. And this guy promised to drain the swamp. And now he's going to be renting it out for weddings. I just, and I'd be angrier about it, except it's just buildings. I mean, there's people who are going to die because of these choices.
Yeah. Yeah. But like you said, you have standing to sue because of an overdose on metaphor. I mean, we talk about him figuratively dismantling democracy, and he's literally taking a wrecking ball to the White House. And again, like you said, going over to the Treasury Department, can you guys please not take any pictures? And because of what he said earlier this year, that it wouldn't touch it, he wouldn't mess with it, it's just going to be near it. He knows. That's right. He knows that what he's doing is illegal and wrong, but nobody's going to stop him. Nobody can stop him.
His parents never gave him attention. So he learned how to act out and be a douchebag to be noticed. And he became such an abusive teenager, his parents had to put him in military academy. And all that did was teach him how to haze and torment weaker kids than him. So he gets off on causing suffering. I mean, we've been murdering people in boats in foreign waters, right? That's what we're doing. We are murdering people in boats. They say they're drug runners and sex traffickers, but they're vaporizing all the evidence. Men and women who are adults would intercept the boats and flip the traffickers to get bigger fish and take a picture of all the dope they confiscated on the table. We don't have dope on the table because all the evidence has been vaporized. So they've been murdering people, using this as pretense to say that there's an invasion and that we're under attack, so they can send more troops into cities to harass brown people and flirt with doing something to prevent voting next year in the midterms. But this week, as your listeners know, there were 2 survivors of one of their mass killing attacks, and those 2 survivors were repatriated back to their home countries of Colombia and Ecuador. So what this means is one of 2 things. Either we are murdering innocent people in boats, or we are letting dangerous narco-terrorist drug dealers go free. There is no third option. And the media does not care because the media is now owned in so many quarters by people who are making substantial investments to build this hideous ballroom. It's just, look, we knew that it would be, when fascism came, it would be wrapped in a flag and carrying a Bible. We didn't know it would be this white trash. And that's the most embarrassing part of all of it. It's like the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse and they show up at a pro wrestling match. And,
It reminds me of, when you talk about the fact that it's either, look, you're either releasing murderous cartel members or murdering people without due process. It's one or the other. It reminds me of when they rolled up the head of a apparent, immigrant smuggler operation and let him go, a 5-time deported triple felon, just so that they could try to bring a trumped up case against Mr. Kilmar Abrego Garcia. Or when they let MS-13 gang members go and let them off the hook and dismiss their charges so that they could return them to President Bukele as part of their agreement with that country in El Salvador to use their Seacoast prison. And that they didn't want us to know that was the agreement that they made with Bukele, that they're actually letting these actual MS-13 gang members off the hook, actual smugglers of immigrants off the hook in order to make their political cases in court that have no evidence or any backing whatsoever in reality.
They care about one thing, themselves, and how they look and whether they're winning, right? So when you understand that, everything they do makes sense. They only care about themselves. So Trump just pardoned George Santos, right, who stole from veterans, who ripped off Republican donors. This is after Trump pardoned Steve Bannon, who ripped off Republican donors. And then he pardons this guy who stormed the Capitol with the rest of the terrorists on January 6th. And now that same guy's been he's arrested for threatening to kill Hakeem Jeffries. I mean, they say we need the National Guard to stop crime. But the crime they're talking about is voting. The actual violent felons are getting handshakes and pardons all over the place. These guys will call a 9-year-old trans child a security threat, but then a convicted terrorist threatens to assassinate the Democratic leader of Congress, and they're like, well, maybe the poor guy just feels unheard. Have you thought of that, liberals? I mean, this guy pardons fraudsters. He pardons cop beaters. He pardons wife beaters. He pardons George Santos. It's like this Mount Rushmore of degenerates. And now this, all of these sleazebags, Mar-a-Lago North, these criminals. And in the midst of all of this, this criminal was indicted because grand juries looked at evidence and said, wow, he's guilty. Let's have a trial. And now he's trying to scam the Department of Justice into paying him $230 million because the DOJ once tried to hold him accountable for his crimes. This is meta corruption. Nixon was an amateur. Warren Harding was an amateur with all of this. I mean, he's literally coming out there and telling everyone, don't worry, you're not paying for the ballroom. I'm paying for the ballroom. In reality, the American taxpayers will pay to maintain and fund that place for the rest of time. And while he's bragging that, oh, he's getting private investors to do it, he's shaking down the taxpayers for another $230 million of our money to go to him for the legal costs because he broke the law and had to pay lawyers to defend him. And it worked. He got out of jail. Now he wants compensation and reparations. I swear to God, the only reparations they believe in are reparations for their fellow racists.
Yeah, billionaires. Help a billionaire. He's like, well, if I win, if I get my $230 million, which I am due because I was very terribly treated, I'm going to give it to charity. I'm like, yeah, the Trump Foundation, what charity are you going to be giving this money to? Yourself. The Help a Billionaire Foundation. Cue Sarah McLachlan music in the background for me, please. And you too can, for a mere $230 million a month, you too can help a billionaire in need. Please support today. Call this number, the arms of the angels, and you too can reach in and lift a billionaire out of poverty. Please donate today.
Yes.
This is straight out of our treasury. It's straight out of our tax dollars. It's 100% corruption. And I mean, we have Raskin and Garcia have written a letter. It's all they can do in Congress. They don't have subpoena power until we give them that power by flipping the House, but they don't have subpoena power. I know everyone's tired of strongly worded letters, but it's really all we got right now. What should have happened is he shouldn't have been elected in the first place. And now he's going to do things like destroy the White House and steal $230 million from the Treasury unabated to help fund a billionaire program. If you and I get a chance, my friend, we should put together a commercial for helping, sad billionaires, we can pull them up by their bootstraps for them. Their gilded bootstraps. I don't know what else to say, my friend.
I am Donald J. Trump. I was investigated for stealing, so now I'm owed money for the trauma of almost being caught and almost being held accountable for my actions. Pay me. Yeah, I can hear it. Sarah McLachlan right underneath. It's beautiful. I mean, it's like the bank robber is demanding reparations for his emotional distress because the cuffs were on too
or we
tight.
could put billionaires in the shelter cages.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
I don't know, my friend. It's just everything is so absurd. But we did get some inspirational stuff. Virginia's going to start to redraw their maps, right? We're voting on Prop 50 now in California. If you want, yesterday or the day before, I gave out a link in the show notes so you can call California voters who have yet to turn in their ballots. If you are in California, you're sitting there and you still have your ballot, turn it in. It will take you off that call list. It'll make those call lists shorter. Make sure that you vote yes on Prop 50. But Virginia is now going to step up into the fray. And And I still think Illinois and Maryland can, but we need to call Governor Westmore. We need to call Governor Pritzker and make sure that they know that we want them to participate in this as well. So there's so many things that are going on that we can do to push back against the absurdity.
Absolutely, Allison. I mean, I know how hopeless it feels, but that's what they want. That's how gaslighting works. They want you to despair, and despair is privilege. I mean, there's so much that we can do, and I think the weekend proved that. The No Kings protests, maybe it wasn't the biggest deal of all time, but it's about 2% of the population came out to protest one president. This has never happened before. No violence, very few arrests, no chaos. And of course, Trump could have just laughed it off, could have ignored it. He should have known the media would have forgotten about it by Tuesday, but he had to make it all about himself and put out that vulgar video and prove that everybody was right about him. I mean, imagine if Joe Biden had posted a video of himself wearing a crown in a fighter jet marked King Joe, dropping literal crap on a March for Life rally. My God, Laura Ingraham would have shaved her head. Trump does it. There's silence. No one on the Sunday shows. But again, he keeps showing he really is as bad as we keep saying. I mean, even Kenny Loggins had to release a statement. Kenny Loggins, Allison, because Trump illegally used Danger Zone for his poop plane video, and Kenny Loggins had to come out and say, like Moses, too many people are trying to tear us apart. We need to find ways to come together. And I just want to say, your movement has lost the moral high ground when Kenny Loggins has to call for national unity. That's how bad the second term is. That's where they brought us.
Yeah.
I mean,
when you draw the ire of the king of yacht rock.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, I was mad when you were protecting pedophiles, but now you've offended Kenny Loggins? No. Now it just got real.
Step too far. Now you're in the danger zone, sir. All right. Thank you so much, my friend. Everybody, you have to pick up a copy of Separation of Church and Hate, wherever you get your books. I like to go to little bookstores, independent bookstores, and order it. I like to buy 10, 20 copies, throw them in my big closet of books that I like to give out during the holidays, and then take the rest and put them in little libraries around my town. Please, please go pick up the book. And
buy dozens. Take out a Pell Grant, please.
And then also check out Tell Me Everything on SiriusXM Progress Channel 127, weeknights, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 Pacific. John Fugelsang Show podcast, John Fugelsang Substack, everywhere you can find him. You definitely want to follow him. Thank you so much, my friend. It's been great to see you.
Thank you.
Everybody stick around. We'll be right back with the good news. Everybody, welcome back. It's time for the good news.
Who likes good news? Everyone? Then good news, everyone.
Good news. And if you have any good news, confessions, corrections, you want to give a shout out to a loved one or yourself or a nonprofit that's doing great work, maybe a small business in your area that could use a boost, because I know we're all trying to limit our purchases from places like Amazon and Target. So we would love to hear about some great small businesses in your area. We'd love to know what you're making and creating. A shout out to your hobbies in these trying times, whether you're knitting or singing or writing, painting, whatever it is, show us what you're making and creating. We also love shout outs to government programs, but that have helped you or a loved one. And we're also accepting any jokes right now. If you have any favorite street jokes you want to tell us, we would love to get a laugh. You can send it all to us at dailybeanspod.com and click on contact. Any good news, whether it's big or small, whether it's from yesterday or 25 years ago, we would love to hear about it. And all you got to do to get your good news read on the air is pay your pod pet tariff, which means either, number one, attach a photo of your pet, and we can try to guess the breeds in your shelter pup if you want. Number two, if you don't have a pet, send an adoptable pet in your area. We have a really good track record of finding them forever homes. If you don't have that, just really grab a random photo of an animal off the internet. We especially love baby animals. If you don't have that, family photos will do. What are you dressing up for Halloween as? We would love to see what you're going as. Send that to us. Past Halloweens too. Send us your favorite costume that you've ever worn. Send us photos of the No Kings rally that you went to, some of your favorite signs. Maybe you have a postcarding group. You're writing to voters in Virginia or Prop 50 voters in California. Let us see those photos. Maybe you're growing something in your garden. We would love to see that. A happy place, a sunset, anything at all. It can be anything. Send it to us. dailybeanspod.com and click on contact. First up is Your Good Trouble.
Get me into trouble.
All right, check out this cheat sheet about fall 2025. Boltsmag.com has broken down and listed a bunch of state and local elections and referendums for you to choose from to put some energy behind. So, you know how I say that this administration is like an episode of Hoarders, and you just look at the house and it's so overwhelming that you don't know where to start. So you should just pick a corner and start cleaning. This is how you can do that. You can find an election, a local, state election or referendum to get behind. And we have a cheat sheet in the show notes. So click on that link and see where you can help. All right, first up in the good news from Lola Gale, pronouns she and her. Hi, Lola. Just your friendly Facebook group mod checking in with my recent coping art pieces. I've been taking some time each day to work in my practice art books because it helps relieve stress. My good news from the last week, though, is the fact that my small red Texas town showed the fuck up on No King's Day. I would have never thought that was possible. Attached are pics of the pieces I have in progress, as well as my favorite pic from the protest in my town. Thank you both, AG and DG, for being a bright spot in my day. Sending love to the entire collective. It's tough right now, but damn it, we have each other. Oh, well said, Lola. And I love your new haircut, by the way. I saw you post about it. Special shout out to Anne for always being there for me when I have to vent a little. Yes, she is. Anne is an angel. Couple of patrons from way, way back, kitchen table days. Thank you, Lola. Thank you, Anne. Look at these beautiful art prints. I own some Lola Gale art myself. Just absolutely incredible. Love the colors. And look at that. Greg Abbott is a doo-doo head. Fantastic sign. Lola, thank you for the chuckle. Next up from Linda, pronouns she and her. Hi, DG and AG. I attended the No Kings March last Saturday in Portland, Oregon. It was peaceful, fun, and joyful, with plenty of clever signs, a multitude of inflatable costumes, and people of all ages. Here are some of my favorite photos, including a dictator one that I found hilarious. Thank you for all you do to keep me informed and sane. P.S. I'm the one who sent the shout out about my best friend's Resist book of photos. Linda, yes, I remember. The book is amazing. Order yours here. We'll have a link in the show notes. Look at this. Great, excellent costumes. I love the streamer. I love the old timiness of it. That's fantastic. Look at the frog. There's the dictator. Just incredible. Did you see the Alabama penis that got tackled and arrested? They freed the Alabama penis. But Linda, thank you for these. And from the bottom of my heart, thank you for what Portland is doing just in general. Next up from Anonymous, pronouns she and her. I found the Daily Beans on Blue Sky after ditching the worthless corporate media and meta platforms post 11/4/24. I don't know how I would have managed to digest the atrocities of the last year without AG and DG documenting our slide into authoritarianism with appropriate outrage, exasperation, and profanity. So shout out to you both. Thank you, Anonymous. I really want to give a shout out to my younger brother for his recent accomplishments in college and theater. He has the biggest heart of anyone I know, and I couldn't be more proud seeing him tap into his endless capacity to empathize and relate to others as he takes on acting roles with his college theater department. He has overcome many struggles in his life, and it warms my heart to see him find something that brings him such joy and success. His latest performance was a very timely production of The Crucible. My cousin and I went clad in witch hats. I painted hers with colorful cats. Mine was a little more political. Said political witch hat is pictured below with my black cat, Gigi. I teach ESL to immigrants and refugees, so the flag stickers represent all the countries that my students come from. I'm proud to be an Antifa witch fighting for human rights. We will win. What a beautiful hat. And the kitty. You're familiar there. Is that one of those kitty running machines? One of those big wheels that the kitties can run in? I'm interested in how that works, Anonymous. Absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for that. And our last submission today is from Heather, pronouns she and her. Hello. I want you to know how much I appreciate you. You're fucking amazing. I would like to request that we refer to the White House ballroom as the Epstein Memorial Ballroom. It's a mouthful, but if it gets on Trump's radar, it'll probably make his ankles swell. Here's my favorite joke. A bear and a rabbit are pooping in the woods. The bear asks the rabbit, "Do you ever have a problem with the shit sticking to your fur?" And the rabbit chuckles and says, "No." So the bear wipes his ass with the rabbit. Mad love to you and the Leguminati. Heather, thank you. And everyone, thank you so much. Keep sending in your good news. I live for it. I know Dana does too. It's so important that we make sure that we're not alone, that we feel like we're not alone. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. Andy and I will be in your ears on Sunday to talk about all things Department of Justice on the Unjustified podcast. And Dana and I will be back in your ears on Monday. So until then, everybody do some self-care this weekend. Please take care of yourselves, take care of each other, take care of the planet, take care of your mental health, and take care of your family. I've been AG, and them's the beans. The Daily Beans is written and executive produced by Allison Gill with additional research and reporting by Dana Goldberg. Sound design and editing is by Desiree McFarlane, with art and web design by Joelle Reeder with Moxie Design Studios. Music for The Daily Beans is written and performed by They Might Be Giants, and the show is a proud member of the MSW Media Network, a collection of creator-owned podcasts dedicated to news, politics, and justice. For more information, please visit mswmedia.com. MSW Media.